All right, welcome in everybody. It is live on Friday night, September 30th. It is 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. We're here on the Mute the Media YouTube stream. I'm really excited. So we got Army Overlord, who I think is awesome. I've always talked about one of the first people I saw on TikTok, who's a really just amazing figure on the social media scene. And he's great at kind of making it real and taking it back to not the real, we don't like to use that word, but taking it back kind of offline, right? And bridging those two things. And he's awesome, just somebody I really look up to. And then I got my dad. And obviously, I'm really excited to have him on here. And so before we dive into it, we're going to discuss Iran tonight. But I'll let Overlord introduce himself. I'll let my dad introduce himself. You guys should know Run and producer Shy, myself, obviously. But yeah, Overlord, if you want to jump in and let people know what's up.
Okay, we'll do. I go by U.S. Army Overlord. For those who don't know me, I'm a retired combat vet. And then I became, had my great awakening in 2020, seeing the injustice happen in America, and I just could not deal with it anymore. So I dedicated my life to becoming a social justice warrior, fighting out here for taking what I've learned in the military and now applying that to social issues. And I'm here for the eradication of white supremacy. And really, I'm really worldwide. I would love to see dictators be deposed, all of them. I think the world would be a better place without them.
Sweet. Thanks, man. And then, Dad, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Dastmalchi, and thank you so much for inviting me tonight. I don't have experience to be on the screen, therefore, and also English is my second language, therefore I'm excused. But first, I would like to say, I never had the chance to say to American that, as a person coming from other countries here, I mean, I'm so glad, I'm so happy I'm living in USA, because from where I'm coming, there was no freedom. There was no democracy, even if you say something against during the Shah time, which previous time, or during the Khomeini time. Therefore, there was no freedom, and practically there was a time myself, my family, we were in prison because we want just a democracy. But when I came to USA, I realized, wow, the life could be different. Therefore, if I say something against president, therefore nobody is going to tell me why you're against president. And it takes me 2 years, I realized I can talk against president, to be honest to you, because the image I have from where I was coming. But I would like to say thank you for the opportunity this country providing to me as an immigrant. And also I want to give my sympathy today for what happened in Florida. I feel, to support them for their best and for the safety, and try, I wish I can do anything, but just pray for them, for their safety, for everybody. And thank you so much for all of you to having me here. But the reason my son Matthew asked me here, and I'm here regarding to Iran, and I have a lot of passion for Iran. And I've practically, since right now I'm 66 years old, but practically since I'm 17 years old, I'm trying to understand what's the meaning of the life, what's the purpose of the life, what's the freedom, democracy, justice. And I'm trying to match my life in that action. And then what happened, we are talking about Iran, is so sad. The people of Iran, they want to live like us. They want to have freedom. They want to have job. If you follow in Iran, the economy is really bad. I know there's a sanction is part of that. But to be honest to you, there is a lot of corruption in Iranian government. If you look at it like 15 years ago, when they was able to selling the oil in Iran easily, and they have a lot of money, but the corruption was so much, the inflation in that time was about 35%. Therefore, the people of Iran, they know, no matter what, from the Iranian government, there is no future, especially the young people, which they are uprising right now, especially the ladies, which I will explain to you why there is a lot of pressure on the women and girls. Therefore, they feel that there is no solution coming from this government, Iranian government. There is no any alternative, and that's why they give up, and that's why they want to have a freedom. Let's put it this way. Let's look at the Iranian, when Khomeini came in power, he made the constitution based on Sharia law.
So let me pause you real quick. So when did he come into power?
He came in 1979, practically. In that time, he forced Sharia law. Sharia law is a man-made law by the human and is not by Islam. Therefore, in that Sharia law or constitution, he put that the supreme leader, which is himself, his mind is full. This is in Iranian constitution. Everybody else, their brain is not complete. The only person in whole world is practically their brain is complete is supreme leader. That is very funny. If you look at it, unfortunately, it's not happening only on the Shia. In Sunni, we have the same thing. They call Khalifa. Therefore, this is what the people of that area are suffering, because some people, they're using the religion, they're taking as a hostage for a long time to stay in the power. The religion, to me, the message of the religion is the kindness and helping other people. But what these people has done is completely different. Therefore, for example, I would like to say about the Constitution of Iran. If you look at the Constitution of Iran, they said the woman, they are half of the man. Practically everything the man belongs, the woman, they are half of that. Suppose if there is a case in the court, in that case, therefore, one vote of one man is equal to two women. Two women has to vote will be same as one man. Therefore, or practically, can you hear me, Matthew?
Yeah, you're good. Keep going. You're good.
Yep, we hear you. We hear you.
Therefore, in that case, there are a lot of stuff like that in the Iranian constitution, which is against the woman. And for another item here also is the Iranian government. They're ruling based on the fear, and they're using women and girls as a fear. Therefore, in that case, for 40 years, there's been a lot of pressure on Iranian women that they don't have a freedom. And they tried to make 2-3 revolution uprising, but they couldn't finish the job. But this time is another one. This time is very big one. And I would like to explain how it started.
So let me cut you off. So before we dive on this, what makes what's happening, you mentioned prior like unrest and prior uprisings. What's different right now than prior times, and what were those prior uprisings?
The prior uprising, for example, they raised the gas price. Therefore, in that time, there was an uprising, as in it was about 1998. And the Iranian government, they killed about 1,500 people to stop the uprising. Therefore, the last time the uprising takes about 5 days. Therefore, they are able to control. But this time, we already has 15 days, and they are not able to control, because this time, the young people, especially the young people between 17, the girls between 17 and 21, they're on the street. And practically, they want to sacrifice their life for freedom. And they had enough, because there's so much discrimination against them. And that's what they're fighting. But there are a lot of element change also. Practically, this time is more organized, because there is an organization, there is an alternative that practically is organizing the young people inside Iran. And those young people, they are organized, and practically they are making resistance units. Those resistance units, there are, for example, there are 5 of them. But right now, because there is uprising, when they go to do some operation against the mullahs, practically there will be 20 right now. The people are joining these resistance units, and they're getting stronger and stronger. And that is the case in Iran. But how it started, if I want to tell, Mahsa, she was from the Kurdish area, west of area. She went to Tehran to visit her brother. Therefore, she was going out to the market with the brother just regularly. And then the moral police, they stopped them. And they told her, a couple of your hairs is out. Or, your cover is not good. And they arrested her. And she was scared. Therefore, based on what we know, that the police, that we have the name of the person that who did it. They push her, and then practically she was tortured on the head, and she practically died when she was at the arrest. But so far we know the Iranian government, they never give the body of her body. They never give it to the family, because if the families, they see that, they can see all how she got beat up on the street, and then practically that's what it started. But the Iranian women, they want freedom, and also they want regime change, and that's why the main, you see in every city, the main objective is telling down to Khamenei. Khamenei is the supreme leader. Therefore, that's why you will see in all over area. Like, for example, this time we have, like today, there is a uprising in the city of Zahedan, which is in Baluchistan in the east of Iran. So far, we know today 58 people has been killed. And let me tell you how it started today. As I mentioned to you, majority of Iranian are Shia and they are part Sunni. This area, they are Sunni. Today is Friday. They went to pray. During the prayer, there is a video. Therefore, this moral police, they attack them. And they start running away. I saw the video, they're running away. During the running away, right at the spot, they kill 8 people. Iranian government, they were thinking by attacking these people during the namaz, practically they're going to be scared and there won't be any movement after that. But that didn't happen. The whole city, they came out in city of Zahedan. If you look at on the videos, you will see whole Zahedan, the people, they become so upset because of that. And so far, I think 58 people has been died so far, and about 400 people got wounded only today in that city. Therefore, what happened? If you look at a video, you will see all this city smokes coming from everywhere, and the people are attacking those like a police station or those Islamic Guard, the moral police station or the bank, and they're trying to show them that they are not happy. This is what's happening in that area. Not only in this Balochistan, we have in Azerbaijan, we have in Kurdistan, we have today we have in Ahvaz, in Tehran. Right now, we have in Tehran, last 15 days, we have in Tehran. I'm from Mashhad. The city of Mashhad, we have it today. I mean, people, they are fighting for freedom. And that's why, this, what Mahsa did what the government of Iran did to Mahsa caused unity between Iranian people and trying to change the government. But it's not easy because this government, for example, has got so many weapons, so many things to practically to stop the revolution. But people, they will learn and we go forward. And I hope we can change the government as soon as possible.
So let me pause you real quick.
Thank you so much.
Oh, no, you're good. No, this is kind of the point, is we wanted to have someone who knows more about Iran and has a history with the country to talk about this. Because there's a lot of opinions going on. There's a lot of things people are saying right now in the U.S., but most people have no clue what they're talking about. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, because you do know what you're talking about, and we're lucky to have access to that. But before I go back to anyone want to jump in, any questions that have come to mind or anything they want to say?
I'll rock a couple. So I got 2 questions for you. First, what happened to you in Iran? Was you ever arrested or mistreated by the regime?
Yes. In 1980, practically, I was arrested in 1980. Actually, it was like before yesterday. It was 5th of the May, which it was like 3 days ago. In that time, I got arrested. In that time, my younger brother, he was 16. He was in prison. They arrested him before me. And then during that time, I have an uncle, his name Mehdi, in Mashhad. He was arrested. He was in prison. And 2 of his sons also, it was in prison. And I have another uncle, his name is Taghi, and his son-in-law was in prison. To be honest to you, it was really, really sad. My mom was telling when they're going to go to visit, all 3 sisters-in-law, practically, they were going on the line. They're on the line to visit their family. The reason in that time, when they go for visiting the prisoner, the young guys, they didn't go because, or the father, they didn't go because they'd be subject to the arrest too. If only the women, they used to go to visit, if they could visit their family. And then, of course, when somebody arrested in that time in Iran, it was hard first to find them in what prison they are in that time. But to make it short, in that time, we had a good fight against Khomeini in that time. And practically we tried that time to change the Iranian government. And in that time, there was 100,000 people that got executed. And we had about, as I mentioned to you, there were about 300,000 people that was in prison. As if you look at in my small family, that's many people. I mean, there was no family that they didn't have practically some relative in the prison. But of course, in that time, Khomeini was strong because it was at the beginning of his power. And he has about at least 30% of the country was behind him at the beginning, or maybe more than that. Therefore, still he was able to hold on to power. And also in that time, there was not that much corruption within their system. Therefore, they could have killed the people. And another issue also, in that time, there was no social media. There was nobody could take any video of how these people, they got killed. And whole world, they didn't know that. like, for example, another case in Iran in 1988. There was a death commission in Iran. In that time, there was, out of that 300,000 political prisoners, there was 30,000 people left in prison in Iran. In that time, there was a death commission, which Iranian president, his name is Raisi right now, which he was in New York 2 weeks ago, and we had a demonstration against him. He was in death commission. In that time, he ordered execution of 30,000 political prisoners in 1988. And whole world, nobody even, there was no any movement, and the world didn't know that. Therefore, but the Iranian people, they suffer a lot. But if you look at it, it's not only Iran, the policy of the Iranian government is hurting all that area. And actually, people, to be honest with you, they want peace. But when you have the dictatorship like that, they use the religion for their advantage. They use the power of the oil in their advantage. And they use the ideology of the terrorism in their advantage. Then practically, that will be very dangerous. And unfortunately, our policy of the West so far has been trying to negotiate with them. Negotiating is not bad, it's very good. But sometimes we have to be realistic for negotiation to see there is any result we are getting. This Iranian government, I don't think as much we negotiate with them and try to change their behavior, they're not going to change their behavior. They are practically, for 40 years, they said death to America, and still they're doing it every day. Therefore, it's very hard for them to change. Sorry if I talk so much. I think maybe I can explain a little bit.
No, this is exactly what I want to hear.
No, you're fine.
So my second question, is what can we do to help? Right? Okay. What can we do to help the women of Iran? What can we do to help them in this fight?
First, thank you so much for giving me a voice to be in your program. I really appreciate it. And also, there is a resolution, House Resolution 1397. Therefore, this resolution practically is explaining what the event happened in Iran, that the people of Iran, they have a right to not to have a hijab. If they don't want to be covered, why they have to force them to cover? To cover is something the people, they have to select themselves. Therefore, they're talking about that. Let's say people of Iran have a freedom, and if they want to have expression of their feeling, they should not be killed on the street. And as we know, so far right now, the number of deaths in Iran since last 15 days is about 300. The number of arrested is 15,000, which Iranian government, they already said they arrested 5,000, but the real number is 15,000. And number of the cities uprising is about 164. Therefore, this resolution is talking about to supporting the Iranian people. And also at the end, last paragraph is mentioning about that people of Iran, they have a right to have a democracy and to choose the people they want to. One thing I want to make it clear, we Iranians, we believe that we are standing by ourselves. What we are looking for is the change government by the Iranian people. We think that if you want to have a democracy, you have to fight for it for yourself, and you have to sacrifice and to pay the price. Therefore, to recognize us, to moral support, welcome. But we don't want weapon from anybody. We can do it ourselves. But what we want is a moral support. Therefore, and also, if you want to negotiate with the Iranian government, be realistic. Don't forget about human rights. I mean, every president, they are talking when they're coming the power, they said, our foreign policy is based on the human rights. What I'm requesting is, if that is true, when you're sitting on negotiation, why we are not talking about human rights issue? Therefore, if really we mean that, we need to talk about it. I mean, the talk is easy, but things need to have some meaning to it, some action to it. Therefore, what I'm asking also, therefore, maybe I'm sorry I'm talking so much, but I'm requesting to call the member of the Congress and please study House Resolution 1397, which is very short, it's about 2.5 pages. It should take 5 minutes. And then if you agree with that and you feel to do it and you have a time, I know the life is very busy here, but if you have a time and please call your member of the Congress and ask them to co-sponsor this resolution. Thank you.
So to follow up on that, because Overlord asked, how can you help? So obviously awareness about different legislation that's being passed right now as it relates to Iran, not just this, but there's resolutions in relation to possible sanctions, their nuclear programs, things like that, right? You can look those things up. And if you want more information on that, we'll have those links provided in the description of this. I'll get those to Shai and she'll put those up in the video description so you can access that. But even further, man, the government does a really good job of trying to censor anything negative, right? So anytime you come across a video showing what's happening in the country, share that, send it to people, retweet it, repost it, because that's how the news is getting out right now. It's people on the ground who are suffering and they're risking their lives to capture this footage. And when it gets out there, we got to do our part to share it, because that's just a huge part of this is awareness, is understanding what's going on there. And I think the more people know, the more pressure there will be. It's kind of all you can really do right now, sadly, right?
This whole world is based on the justice, and everything is subject to the change, everything except justice. Justice keep going; it never go away from our life. Sorry if I talk so much. The humanity is based on justice. How we define the humanity. Therefore, as we go fight for the justice, fighting for the people who they don't have a voice, and fighting for the people, we are more human. We are. That's what we need to do. Therefore, anybody, if they can help us and call the member of the Congress, is a big help. Thank you. Sorry if I talk so much.
No, that was the point. I have a question myself. Anyone else want to jump in or anything like that? If you have a question in the comments, I'll try and highlight it if someone wants to ask something. Otherwise, I'll get to my question. Ooh, Dutch is in the comments. What's up, Dutch? Okay, so my question is, you mentioned that the regime has ways of trying to suppress the unrest, right? Trying to suppress demonstrations, things like that. What are the different things that the regime can do? So, for example, like we have the IRGC. What are the aspects of the IRGC that help suppress revolution, I guess we'll say?
Yeah. See, they have a lot of people, but the resistance units, they knew what they have experienced, Matthew, from the previous uprising. Therefore, we are using different strategy this time. For example, city of Tehran is a very huge city. Therefore, the resistance units, they select 64 area, which at the same time, they do the uprising about 19 to 13. Like, for example, last night in Tehran, we had 13 different locations. Therefore, what we did in that one, we make the Iranian Islamic Guard, Revolutionary Guard, this spread to 64 locations because they don't know when the uprising is going to happen. Therefore, they have to put all their forces in 64 locations. For example, in Tehran, we did same thing in Mashhad. In all the big city, that's our strategy. Therefore, we divide because they are very much killing the people. I mean, these young people, they are very small people, and these Islamic Guard are huge. Therefore, practically, they can kill them very easily. For practically, we have come up with a system. We split this Islamic Guard in big cities to the different area, and that's why our approach. And then practically, they don't know. And also, right now, for example, if there is uprising, we do it in 1 hour, and then in 1 hour they change the location to another location. Therefore, we make them tired, and we make them also. These are a lot of strategy we are doing. Another strategy we are doing in our fight is compared to the other times. Before uprising, practically the Islamic Guard, they used to come and attacking the people. Now we are realizing these people they are fighting. They are not fighting really. They are based on the salary, the Islamic Guard. Therefore, but the young people, they are fighting for revolution. Therefore, their energy is 100 times, maybe 50 times more than those people. Therefore, our approach is we are attacking them instead of they are attacking us, because we know they are going to be afraid because our side is brave people. Therefore, we change our approach in this uprising, and we are attacking them this time, and Israel is working. And another approach I can mention to you, from last uprising, the Iranian government, they cut internet. Therefore, the internet was a big element for the connection. Therefore, right now we come up with a system, even though the internet has been disconnected in Iran, but all the tape from all the city constantly is coming. Therefore, we make the network in all over Iran, therefore connect everything. And then that's what we have to do. This is a very organized movement, which we have in Iran right now, which practically is a MEK or PMOI, or these are the name of this organization who is organizing in Iran. And we are the organization which we fight against the Shah. And then we have experience against the Shah, and now we have experience practically. We are trying to help the young people in Iran to be more organized and to fight against this. And then we know the only way we can do it, we have to be very organized, we have to be very focused, and we have to have a good strategy how to fight against them. And there are a lot more, if you want, I can explain to you, but there are a lot of changes we did in this time of uprising that is working against the Iranian government.
Basically, to summarize, it's more organized, there's more people joining, right? And there seems to be more passion right now. There's more widespread passion.
Yes, absolutely. And then also the to be honest to you, right there, like yesterday morning, the resistance units, there was a huge building in Tehran. They use the rocket. The resistance units are able to make a rocket themselves right now in Iran, and they're using rocket. In last, if in last 2 months, at least 10 Islamic Guard has been attacked by rocket. But the rocket we are using is making noise and just is not killing anybody. We're trying to scare them. Therefore, that's our objective. Therefore, really, we are not trying to kill anybody by using those. We're trying to scare them, to scare those Islamic Guard. But it's working. Therefore, these are the what we are doing. Is a lot of plan is there, a lot of working, but to be honest to you, we are fighting for secular government, and if we do that in Iran and we change the Iranian government, I mean, it's going to be huge in Middle East, because right now in Middle East we have 26 countries that none of them, you believe me, none of them is a democracy, or none of them has got a real election. For we are not trying to practically to change any countries, but the way we know, if we change Iranian government and bring the secular government over there, which we are fighting for, practically is going to impact a lot of young people over there. Social media is very effective in that area. The social media is connecting the people. That's why the dictatorship, they really have a hard time, because before that, when there was no social media, they could have done they could have done anything, and there was nobody knew about it, and the newspaper was their control, radio, TV, everything was in control. No, they lost that control. Therefore, the young people, they are hungry for democracy in that area, and I'm sure is helping all the country in that area. And I'm sure if you have a peace in Middle East, I think overall it'll be good for whole world, and then practically that'll be the best solution. And I think the solution is not coming by some country to go and attack another country. The solution is coming by the people over there to fight for what they want, to learn how to get to democracy and implement that. This is like a tube. You have to go from one side of the tube to get to the other side of the tube. The people themselves to have fight for that. The democracy, freedom, nobody can inject it to any society. And everything has to be by the people to go through the process. And that's what we are trying to do in Iran. But I'm sure is going to impact a lot of that country in that area. And I hope this happens as soon as possible, because I think it's going to help whole world, I think, what we are doing.
It absolutely would impact more. And we'll do a follow-up. We'll do a follow-up on this and dive more into like the regime and maybe its impact on the area and some of its activities. Because we're going to end this pretty soon here at the 30-minute mark.
Hey, can I throw one more question in there?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I see one from the crowd. Now, I actually was a question I had in the back of my head, too. So, now that you spent time in America, do you see right now in our government any similarities between what's happening here and what's happening in Iran?
To be honest to you, I have a different opinion. I think this country, let me put it this way. If you want to look at the society, there is a two way to look at a society. We need to look at the relation between the economy and also relation between the humans. I mean, economy, how the people are living, that's very important. And number two, how the people treat each other. I like capitalism. I think the capitalism is a good thing, but I think what we are missing in capitalism right now is human relationship. That's what we are missing. That is my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I think if you want to have the movement in this country, this is the part is missing. We need to focus how to put our energy on human relationship. If we make the human relationship, then also we have to have a good economy relationship. The economy has to be very good for the people, but is not by itself is not going to be enough. Therefore, we need to have additional to that. We need to have the human relationship. Division is not working. I mean, what happened is when there is a special interest or establishment, but the people didn't have a voice. Maybe for some people, for the economy is working very good, but overall, the human relationship is not working. Our movement, especially in Iran, what we want to do, we want to have both of them. We want to have the job for everybody in Iran, and also we want to have the human relationship. We want to, our income, whatever income we're claiming, maybe 50% of that put on the human relationship. I think that's what the world we need. Look at our Maybe if, I'm sorry if I talk so much, maybe I shouldn't. But look at in university, we don't have a really good movement. We don't have a real leadership. Why? Why we don't have it in the USA? Why? Why? Because why in this society everything is me, me, me? So I'm sorry if I'm getting to this. That was not the purpose of tonight. But I'm a free man. Therefore, that's my feeling. Therefore, there is a lot of stuff like that we have to work on. And my son is laughing. But
No, this is what we
Yeah,
want. This is exactly what we
he's
want.
gonna start a
This is
damn
exactly
debate
what we
between
want.
us right now. Is what he's gonna do. But I think this is something that's tough for me, right? Is to understand there's an important perspective you got to have, right? Like we talk a lot about, and for certain pockets and areas in the U.S., like absolutely, like shit is bad, right? They don't care how things are in other countries. Like we got it bad right here, and that's totally valid, right? But like we were talking about last time on the stream, there is a massive difference still between conditions as a whole in the United States of America, right? Or pick a, any nation is top 25 in terms of most economic, data points, right? Versus North Korea and Iran, and so on and so forth. And I think sometimes our rhetoric against the U.S. can become a little hyperbolic, right? We kind of lose sight of how things could be as a whole across the globe. And that's not like, and the problem is there's people who will use that to justify conditions, right? As like, oh, like things are good enough, right? And that's obvious BS. But I think it is important to remember, it could be a lot worse. And I think the question you're asking is important because I think a lot of us understand that, are we the regime right now? No. But if you understand the undercurrents, what drives it, which is a extreme religious kind of conservative ideology, and then you consider what's taking hold over here, is it going to look like that tomorrow? No. But this is a process over 40 years where things have continuously gotten worse. Like he said earlier, when Khomeini, when the regime came into power during the Islamic Revolution in 1979, there was actually a decent amount of support for them amongst the population, right? Because they didn't know what they were yet, right? But look at how much things have changed over 40 years. Look at what society was even under the Shah, right? Look at what the freedoms looked like under the Shah, which was limited, but still vastly different than what it is now, right? And I think the point, Overlord, and I would like to make, actually, I know Run and Shy probably for sure, is if you don't get ahead of religious extremism, it only ends one way. So
I agree. But the stuff I mentioned is about Iran. Practically, this is what we're trying to do in Iran, the relation between the people, the real democracy, and practically make sure the economy is for the people. If we can do that, I think that, is very important for us in Iran.
I have one question before you go.
no questions. You said you weren't going to talk, man. I'm going to hold you. Go ahead, dude.
I'm sorry. I do have one question because I heard it from a live today. Tomorrow is going to be, there's going to be a lot of protests tomorrow. Tomorrow's October 1st. And I heard from one of the live today that this person who is a Muslim, he's not going to go out and support the protest. I don't exactly know why, what he said, but what do you think about the protest that's going to happen tomorrow? Or do you support protests from outside Iran? Like, I'm going to go out there tomorrow to show solidarity. So what do you think of that? I guess is my question.
Sure, thank you for the question. For your question, if some Muslim people, they're outside of the Iran and they're not supporting the uprising in Iran, what's my opinion? I mean, when I look at the democracy, people, I need to respect different idea, even if I don't like that idea. Therefore, I don't, that's what is democracy. Real democracy is, that person has a right to have a voice. And actually, my job is to protect that person for even if doesn't like that protest. Therefore, that is the way I look at it. Therefore, the way I look at it, I need to have my platform, and I need to have my the people of Iran, they need to have their uprising. That is their right. And some people, if they don't like it, that is their right too also. Therefore, this time, as an activist, therefore the other people, they can decide, Therefore, but sometimes, if the people, they make a mistake and they go the wrong way and still stay within democracy, that's fine. Therefore, but they will learn from their mistake. If I make a mistake, I go the wrong path, I will get hurt. But if I'm an honest person, I will learn and I adjust myself. Therefore, that is if real democracy will work. I don't have any problem with that.
And not to speak for him, but I know Dad, you absolutely support protesting because he was just in New York protesting and he attends protests regularly, right? If there's like a protest in San Francisco, so we're in California, for example. So when there's something happening in San Francisco, he'll try to attend. He attends protests regularly in Europe, East Coast, things like that. So yeah, definitely believes in protesting.
Of course, my job is to attend to those protests against Iranian government. For example, the last Saturday we had at San Francisco at Union Square. And again, this Saturday, we're going to have protests against Iranian government. We're going to hold candle, and we're going to have candle, to practically the memory of the people who has been killed in Iran. We're going to have again going to San Francisco and have a gathering again, practically. But people, they have a right. To me, some people, even though they are wrong, it's better than to be potato, not to have any feeling. I don't, to me, because we need to have a good and bad, or good to my son is laughing. You need to have both of them. Otherwise, what's the meaning of the life? That's the challenge. Otherwise, the life will be like potato. It doesn't mean anything. That is nothing wrong with that. That is like a flavor, actually.
Oh, God. I shouldn't have laughed because now like the potato is going to be a joke for a while in the family.
That's what in Persian we say. When somebody doesn't, in Persian we call
that's it. It's already out there to check. There to be a potato. That's it.
That's what we say. Somebody talk to and say, hey, I don't know, don't get me involved. And so,
I like it. I like it.
So, sorry, Matt. I have one more question. I was making notes while your dad was talking. So I hope I wasn't being rude when I was looking away. But I have one last question. Sure. You mentioned it in the very beginning. You mentioned sanction in the beginning of your presentation, and some people are saying that it doesn't work because it only hurts the lower class. But some people now, which I'm kind of starting to get, people are saying that no, sanction is good because yes, it hurts the lower class, but they're hurting already anyway. So they may as well have sanctions, so it affects the people in power. What do you think of sanctions and all of that?
That is really good question. Thank you for bringing that question. We need to look at the history of sanction in different countries. For example, we sanctioned Iraq, but it didn't work. We had it for a long time. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Therefore, because there was no alternative. There was no uprising against him. But in Iran is working, in my opinion. The reason I mentioned also, because of course it's going to hurt the people. I agree with that. But look at the way it is in Iran, corruption it is. The lot of the kids or the family of the Iranian official, they stole a lot of money and they're in Canada right now. If you do on the Google, do the research, have you heard about that? Therefore, I'm talking about $1 billion, a lot of money. Let me put it this way. In Iranian, all this time from the beginning of the Khomeini came, whatever the oil selling, that the money of the oil, they never say what happening to that money. That money will go to the supreme leader. And the people, they don't know what happened. Therefore, in that case, there is a lot of corruption in Iran that hurting more than that sanction. But if you have a sanction and also you have an alternative, that the alternative trying to change the government and coming with a solution, the end result, if that alternative, which we have in Iran, the National Council of Resistance, therefore that sanction is going to hurt the government and the people because there is an alternative is trying to change the government. But for example, another example I'm giving you, when we have Arab Spring, we have a lot of movements in a lot of that area. How come none of them got any result? Because there was no alternative. There was no people to practically to be ready to change it to the democracy or freedom for the people. And that was the problem. Therefore, if you want to look at sanction, you have to look at what is the status of that country. If the people, they don't have any goal or something, yeah, it's going to hurt. But if the people, they have they want to change the government, and there is an organization, there is a very organized, very strong organization, and also the government over there, which like Iranian government is so corrupt that is not working. Let me give you another example. When Ahmadinejad was president of Iran, there was no sanction in Iran. In
You
that
get the
time,
time period. Sorry, this is back prior to like 2011, 2010, right?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm talking about 15 years ago. That time, the each dollar with the Iranian 2 months was 5,000. And Ahmadinejad was able to sell a lot of oil because if you remember that time, each barrel of the oil was $120 or $135. Therefore, they got a lot of income. Look at the end of his term, what happened? The dollar was 5,000, it was 20,000. Why? If there is no sanction in that country, the value of the Iranian currency has dropped 4 times. My point is that if we have to really, we have to study to see what is the situation of that government. Is it that government, how much corruption? Usually in third world countries, there's corruption. I live in India for 5 years. It was so corrupt. I mean, look at most of the third world countries, the government are corrupt. Maybe I'm wrong, not most, but almost. Therefore, we have to look at that. But in that, also, we have to see if there is a movement or not. What is the end result of that sanction? I mean, I don't want to be a sanction because sanction sometimes, if you want to start a war, some other country, no, that's not good. But if sanction is helping the opposition and helping the people to get rid of the bad guys, it helps. But that's my opinion. But I'm open to the other opinion. It doesn't mean I'm right, you know. But that's what I think.
Thank you for answering that question. I actually appreciate your explanation on that. Thanks, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anyone else want to add anything or have any questions or anything you want to say or anything? Because I'm going to give a little follow up to that myself. Otherwise, no, good to go. So yeah, I think typically I myself would be anti-sanction, right? But I think the important point he's making there is the reason sanctions can be impactful is for a long time there was plausible deniability. Oh, you know, we aren't succeeding as an economy the way we'd like to because of the West, right? But there comes a point in time where you recognize, well, wait a second. Regardless of the West's actions, that's not why the RIGC and branches of them have a hand within our economy, right? That's not why your local officials are corrupt. There's no accountability, right? That's not the West doing that. That's not why you divert resources for us when there's humanitarian issues and things like that, which go back to outside the country where you're conducting, military operations and things like that, or supporting those things, right? So that, for example, when there was the earthquakes in, I believe, the southern Iran, what happened to some of the resources that people try to get down there? The regime was intercepting it. The regime would intercept these resources that were going to people in need within their own country, and they would take it outside the country to support their foreign actions. This is not a government. I'm not going to say government. It's not a regime that cares about the people. And once the people recognize that, you can't point to the sanctions as the issue, but it's the own internal corruption. They recognize this has to go. And that's why sanctions become impactful, because it actually restricts the regime, because the money that's coming into that country is not going to the people. It's going to the regime and what they want to accomplish. And now that people recognize that, sanctions do hurt the people not about it because of that trickle effect, but it hurts the regime a lot more because it limits some of their ability to conduct some of their operations.
Matthew, can I add something to that? To be honest, if Iranian government, the money of the oil they have, if they expend only 10% to the people, I was not sitting right here right now, and I didn't have any case. They are not even ready to give 10% of the money to the Iranian people. That much corrupt. That's why the people see in Iran right now the air is not clear because there are a lot of problems with the air they have right now. I mean, air pollution is so bad because they lost a lot of forests and they also the 50% of the Iranian people in such a rich country, if you look at it, they have a problem to buy bread right now. Right now, look at the gas, they keep raising and raising and raising. Right now, if you look at it, 50% of the small cities, for the water, they have to go, there is a building, they have to go on the line and to get the water. Why we should be like this? Such a rich country. Because they don't care, the government doesn't care. And that's why they end up this kind of movement. The people, they really is not easy to give their life and make such a huge movement unless they got fed up. I mean, the air, the bread, the water, all the lake has been dry out because they divert the water to their own factory, to the tile factory. Then you see the Isfahan, there was an uprising in Isfahan because there was a major river in that city. They divert the river to their own factory, therefore because they want to make it, for example, their army activity. And that's why the people, they lost everything. When you lost everything, and especially when you have 20 million people in Iran, they are living around the main cities, like in Tehran, we have million people, if they don't have anything, they're living in a surrounding area because of real estate, it's cheap to live there. Therefore, when you have 20 million people like that, and the young people over there, They don't have any job. They don't have a freedom. Practically, they got nothing to lose. And that's why they come on the street. When you don't have anything to hope for it, then what's the purpose? Then you will come out and you have a voice. That's what you're facing in Iran right now, practically.
Matt, you're muted.
Matt, you're muted.
Yeah.
Boomer moment. You love to see it. But as I said, it's actually probably a solid place to wrap it up. We're going to follow up with this because there's probably actually more things I would like to dive into. And so I know if there's more things I want to dive into, he could definitely dive into more. Appreciate everyone who's been here in the comments. As always, you guys are awesome. Please share this one specifically with other people. I think it'd be good for people to hear kind of what's going on and a perspective for someone who's actually been from the country and is tapped into what's going on every day. Because again, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot of people who have something to say, but oftentimes it comes from a place of ignorance. And so I think we need to do a better job of hearing the narratives from people who are actually involved and know what's going on. That's a constant theme with Meet the Media. Shai, anything you want to add that I'm not thinking about or that we want to let people know about before we do like plugs and stuff for everyone?
No, I was going to say the resolution is already in the description, but you said there were other ones that you wanted to add. So just,
yeah, I'll send those to you there. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, you guys heard of the resolution that my dad talked about is down there. You can read the resolution for yourself if you don't want to just like blankly support something, which you should read it for yourself anyways. That's always a good habit to get into in life, right? Don't just take our word for it. But yeah, check it out. And then if you feel comfortable, and you should, give a call to your local congressman, call their office, let them know you support this resolution and you would like for them to support it as well. Oh baby, the spam's coming through.
Can I say at the end, Matthew, one statement?
Yeah. Do you want to make it now?
Yeah, I would like to appreciate the people of Ukraine for what they have done for whole world. I think we own to them, because whole world for 70 years after World War II, there was no any movements. And what the people of Ukraine has done, I would like to appreciate them for showing us how the resistance means, and they did what they did. And also I want to appreciate the president of the Ukraine and also their army, because I think what they are doing is very important. And practically make us, all of us, to be shamed the way we are living and and what they are doing. I'm not talking about myself, and we see how they are fighting for us. For practically, I think that's very important to realize also.
I fully agree.
I also agree.
Thank you.
Overlord, anything you want to highlight, stream, stuff you're tapped into for people out there?
Well, I guess I can plug my new YouTube channel, right? Union Gang HQ, because I got banned on my last one for that sucker video from MAGA. They in their feelings about that one. So that one is up. But I think the world's a very small place now with the social media, and we see the stuff that's happening. I think that worldwide we need to limit people with the power, because the power is really corrupted people. That's the real issue. When you harness and focus power into one person, disaster strikes. Look how big Russia is, one of the biggest land masses in the world, and Putin is still not satisfied with that. He is still willing to go out here and murder innocent people, kill women and children, and do all of this and risk war, risk World War III, because he has become mad with power. He's like the mad czar over there. And that stuff, I think the whole world can recognize that and see the evil in that and be like, hey, it doesn't matter. At this point, we're all in this. We're all human beings. And we have to start thinking that, hey, we got to band together. We got to get rid of this nationalism nonsense and see that the people that are a threat to our world, we have to rise up against that. And we have to support each other. I might not be over there in the trenches, but I got a battle to fight here. But I will also, lend my social media. We do everything we can to help you. And but I got much respect for those women out there. They're brave as hell to be out there marching in Iran. And we're seeing the stuff that's happening. I've been saving all the videos that's been happening. And even the Ukrainians out there fighting, we are with you too. Because that's why I say the world would be much better without dictators. We need a worldwide democracy, right? But that's something that only the people inside those borders can fight that fight. A true fight has to come from within. I learned that lesson even walking in Iraq, in Afghanistan. I knew that no outside force was going to ever change that place. I said any change that comes from this country, it has to come within. And I'll leave you guys with that.
I think I'll add one thing on all that real quick, because you both brought up good things, right? Which is Ukraine, right? And earlier we talked about obviously Iran, right, for a lot. And I think it's really important for leftists to understand, just because you don't support U.S. foreign policy and imperialism doesn't mean that anything that positions itself against that is good or to be supported. We can recognize how fucked up, I know my dad doesn't like using language, but we can recognize how fucked up imperialism is, right? And we can still recognize that dictatorships that rise up against that, even sometimes because of the conditions we help create, are not good things and are not to be supported. We can call out both those things. So Dad, really appreciate you being here. This was really cool. Overlord, always appreciate you being here, man. Guys, please share the stream, and we'll do a follow-up to this. I don't know if it'll be next Friday, but pretty soon here we'll do a follow-up because there's more things I want to talk about. So I hope everyone has a great night, and remember to meet the media.